This is an interactive class, and I'm just going to go around real quick and get kind of an idea of where you guys are coming from. You know what I got to bring?
What do you need?
Water. Or something like that.
Bring you a drink?
Thanks. That's my lady cat. She's being very helpful. She's actually the brains of this operation. So,
that was a pretty face.
Because I am a storyteller of very little brain. Lots of heart. So here's the thing I want to first get out, and that is we are all storytellers, each and every one of us. Now, back in the ancient days, a storyteller was the primary form of entertainment. There was no radio, there was no television. Storytelling. There was music, there was dance, all these art forms. But when you thought about passing on community and culture, it was storytelling. How powerful? 40,000 years of storytelling. What's the first thing a kid learns? Storytelling. The itsy bitsy spider crawled down, right? They learned storytelling. Today, we use storytelling. We use storytelling for everything. You hear VH1, the storytellers, right? Yeah, okay, let's put you in a room with 30 sugared up kids who are 7 years old and see how well you do without an instrument. Yeah. We separate the mice from the men right there. You know, I applaud all those teachers who manage to sit down and tell stories. And you look at those kids, once they get into the group there. But look at storytelling today. A Hollywood pitch session, you know, where one person is selling another person an idea, story. If you want to look about the power of storytelling in history, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Mark Twain, Abraham Lincoln, Adolf Hitler, all these different people used the power of storytelling to change the history of civilization. When we talk about storytelling, we are talking about the primal tools that we use to communicate. Data outside of a story means nothing. If I say 11, 12, and 14, it doesn't mean necessary. But if I say 11 shields, 12 swords, and 14 warriors, suddenly, okay, I got some traction. So I'm going to give you just a little exercise you can practice at home. First one is, I'm going to pick on this poor gentleman right here because he's playing with an electronic device. Imagine, if you will, sir, you're in an ancient cavern. You see the long body of a dragon. And that long body of the dragon, the scales are old and hoary, and he's been down there forever. From the little light that's flickering around, what color is that dragon? Bronze. We know what you've been reading. Young lady. From the light, from the flames looking out that long crocodilian snout, jagged ancient peak reaching down, what color are those flames? Sir, from the light reflecting from the flames off the bits of old armor and rusted shields and the odd non-rusty sword, you can see the color of the dragon's eyes. What color are those dragon's eyes? Those dragon's eyes are black. Okay. So, what color were your dragon's eyes? But what color were they? And you?
Green.
And you?
Yellow.
And you?
Green also.
And you?
Red.
And you?
One red, one blue.
Okay. And
Not it.
Not it. And what color was your dragon?
Mine was gray.
Okay. And when you were looking at the flames, what color were the flames of the dragon?
They were red, but with like purple kind of like into them.
And that, my friends, is the ultimate power of storytelling. This is why storytellers rock. And the reason is because we speak to two things, truth and relevance. When we create that dragon in our head, it is made up of what we bring to the table. All of us in this very geeky place, have been thinking of dragons for years. We have a very good idea of what our dragon looks like. When we tell in a story there was a hideous old, mean, miserable woman, we all know who she is. She's Mrs. McGurty from second grade. She scared the hell out of us in second grade. The reason this is important is because storytelling uses what we bring to the table, what is internal to us, and therefore it is relevant and it matters. So when you get somebody in that point in their head where they're just blinking and they're just listening and you got them, and you're just, I'm on it. And you see that on kids. Kids aren't guarded, they're just, right? All adults are kids who've lost their privileges. That's really what we are. And when you get that moment in storytelling where people are actively visualizing, people will honestly start breathing and blinking at the same time. I've seen it by the fire. And I've finished the story and it just, everything went together perfectly and as a storyteller, those are the moments you live for. You just, oh yeah! And everybody's like, wasn't that awesome? Well, that's how you feel when you have a really great game, right? When you have a great LARP, or you're reading a great book. When you're in that moment, when that story is rolling, bam. So, this is old school storytelling we're going to talk about, the storyteller's toolbox. Okay? And so go ahead and flip through and take a look at the little things here. Wait, Cauldron of Inspiration. Did I hand out the wrong one? My apologies. If you would just...
That's for your next one.
Yeah, that's for the other class. Just go ahead and hand that back around. And I handed you guys the wrong one. Sorry. You can come back to the other class and get this handout too. All right, sir. Would you do me a favor and hand this around? I was being a moron. Hey, that was a free promo for my next class.
The question is, was the story that you did that on purpose, or was the story that was really an accident?
That really was just an accident. Help yourself to chocolate and apples. They're free for anybody. Just help yourself. The new ones are going around. Cool. All right, let me put these back. And then I need one of those too. Where they go? Let me grab them. So, before we get into the actual tools of the storyteller, because what we're going to do in this class is we're going to work on how we become more evocative, more powerful storytellers. And I'm going to just give you some cool little tools. It takes a lifetime to be a master storyteller. Okay? You'll know them when you see them. It could be your poor little grandmother sitting at a kitchen table. It could be that trucker. It could be that executive on a stage. When you run into somebody who really knows how to tell a story, you pick it up immediately. There's something captivating about that. Guess what? This is not just something given on high. Oh, your master's stroke. No. It's something you learn. It has so many different cool elements. It's got meta language. It's got symbology. It's got tools that go back to the Stone Age. The very first person who came running into a cave going, right? Story. There's a cave bear outside. He is going to eat us if we go outside. Wow, short, to the point, very effective. And what does it impart? Knowledge that is important. It is truthful and relevant. Guess what? They lived. Why? Because they listened to stories. When Jack goes wandering down the street and he meets the old lady and he gives her the last crust of bread and she tells him where the giant killing sword is, there's a huge amount of mechanical things going on in the background. Joseph Campbell and a lot of other people will tell you about the huge gears working in the background, but among those things is the Will Wheaton law, don't be a dick. Right? I have heard you don't. Right? But because in that message, in just that little bit, hey, Old people know stuff. If you treat them nice, they might impart some of that knowledge. Giant killing swords are very handy if you have to fight giants. And oh, by the way, there are giants in the neighborhood. Just that quick. So, let's talk just a little bit about what a story is. Aristotle, good old Harry Stottlemyre. Aristotle, clever old guy. He said, you know, a story has some pretty basic elements. And so those elements, of course, are beginning, middle, and end. Everybody got that? Now, a story can be part of a much larger arc. Right? Lord of the Rings. Include the Silmarillion. Right? Star Wars. Okay? Star Trek. Lens flare. Okay? The thing is stories can be part of something much larger, or they could be something smaller. It could be just a traditional story. One of the famous trickster characters from the Middle East is Hoja Nasruddin, or Mullah Nasruddin. He's a trickster, a holy fool. And you're thinking, do people in the Middle East have a sense of humor? Oh my God! Who knew? But yes, he is the Lay's potato chips of storytelling in the Middle East. You can't have just one. The tradition is you have to tell 3 of these stories. So an example would be, Hoja was sitting in his house and his neighbor said, Hoja, can I borrow your 40-foot lanyard? And Hoja said, no, I'm sorry, I'm using it to dry grain. Why are you using it to dry grain? Well, for one thing, it keeps my neighbors from borrowing it. Another person comes to Hoja and says, Hoja, can I borrow your mule? And Hoja says, no, I'm sorry, my friend, my mule has died. And just then, Hoja, I can hear your mule. Who are you going to believe? It or me? Hoja, I'm trying to think of another short one. Hoja was sitting in a field, and a very powerful, important man came wandering by and said, how far is it to the next village? And Hoja went, you live here, don't you? Oh, yes. How far is it to the next village? How long will it take me? How long will it take me to get to the next village? Ah! The man storms off. Hoja says, 15 minutes. Why didn't you just say 15 minutes? I didn't know how fast you were going to walk. But you see, Hoja, Mullah Nasruddin stories, there are hundreds and hundreds of them. And they travel all over the Middle East, and everybody claims to be owners of Hoja stories. If you go to Turkey, his birthplace, so to speak, you will see pictures of this short, chubby man with a great big turban, or a really tall, skinny guy with a great big turban riding a mule backwards. The place where he is supposedly buried, there is an enormous bronze gate that's hugely ornate with this giant lock on it, and no walls. Okay? So, my point is they can be short, they can be small, and they can still be inspirational and powerful. So, stories all have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Aristotle said, okay, let's look at those elements. And so the first one is the premise. Where are we? Okay? The second part is who? Protagonist and antagonist. Okay? So everybody here has seen Star Wars, I'm assuming? Okay? So let's talk the very first Star Wars movie. Okay?
The real first.
The real first. You know, Luke and
Middle.
Darth. Yeah. Confuses me. So, who's the hero? Luke. Okay. Who's the villain? Darth. Okay. Protagonist and antagonist. By the way, George Lucas was so influenced by the art of storytelling that when he was writing the whole Star Wars trilogy, one of the things that he had put under his belt was this book, Hero of a Thousand Faces, written by Joseph Campbell. You want to talk about a guy who opened up the hood of mythology and folklore and pried it open and said, oh, transmission, carburetor, pistons. This guy. It's deep stuff, but well worth it. And if you don't like reading, they have it. They have some lovely videos that you can watch where he's being interviewed. Fantastic stuff. So, antagonist, protagonist. Okay? Goals. What do I want? What does he want? The story would be pretty sucky if Darth Vader said, so, you want to be a Jedi, huh? Zoop. Dead. Well, that was a short story, huh? Meanwhile, Luke, if he had his way, hello, princess. Here are the rebel codes. We've saved the day. Oh. No story. Where does the story live? The story lives in the struggle. Okay? If we know the struggle, the part we're interested in is not the struggle. It's not the part where they're standing on the stage getting the medallion. That's not the payoff. I want to be a Jedi someday. Oh, boring. Okay? And if you look at stories, any TV show, any story anywhere, you can pretty much identify where it starts to fail. If it starts to get sucky, it's somewhere in here, in the struggle. This is where we want to live. This is the give and take. This is what gets us involved. So, premise, antagonist, protagonist, plot. Where's it all going? What are we all doing? Okay. Struggle, and of course, resolution. And through the story, their goals may change. The resolution may not be a happy one. It could be a dark story. But those are the elements of story. Plot, struggle, goals, antagonist, protagonist, resolution. Everybody got that so far? Cool. Alrighty, so why is that important? Well, as a storyteller, as you guys get up and start telling stories, you're going to want to have in your head, where's this story going? What's my 1, 2, 3? Where's my beginning? Where's my middle? Where's my end? So that when you bring the character to life, you know where you are in the story. These are the rails. If the rails go like this, you're going to have problems. Or like this, or what have you. And so you need to know those basic mechanics before you can get up and kind of make it come to life. So I'm going to just ask a few questions here. Characters. What do characters do in a story? What is the purpose of a character? Why do we have the big bad wolf? What does Little Red do? Who's the guy with the axe? Everybody here knows Little Red Riding Hood? Okay. So, just guessing because I don't know everybody's culture here, but there are some kind of traditional fairy tales that hopefully we all know a few of. So, Little Red Riding Hood, basic story, going to grandmother's house, runs into the big bad wolf. Big bad wolf says, hey, where you going? Runs back, eats grandma, throws on her clothes, cross-dresses, hops into bed, right? Shows up, hey, what big bad teeth you have, all the better, yada, yada, yada. And the woodsman comes in and saves the day, Deus ex machina. Hello. That's a traditional folktale. So, if we look at our different what the characters do, I've got written down here some of the things that characters do to bring the story along. So we have personify, move the story along, inform, aid, or hinder. So for instance, you can have a character like Loki, right? One of my favorite characters. Go tricksters. Okay? In Norse mythology, he's the bad guy a lot. But guess what? He's critical. Because he moves things along. He advocates change. He makes things happen. Okay? A lot of the magic items that the Norse gods have, why? Loki. The monsters who are going to eat them at the end of the world? Loki. Right? The beautiful eight-legged steed Sleipnir in Norse mythology. Whose son? The Loki. He's a mother Skegard. All these things, one character, trickster. Okay? Heroes, tricksters, characters are the essential parts of that engine that make the story move along. Now, where do characters live? Anybody? It's okay. Just blurt out an answer. It's okay. I'll throw chocolate at you.
Where do you think they live?
Right? What's that? Here?
Here, in the circle of weird content.
Okay, fine. In the struggle? Exactly. Characters live in us. How many of us have ever done anything improvisational where they say, here's a character, be a character, and all of a sudden, I'm an old rabbi for some reason. I don't know why. Okay? Characters live inside of us. That's where the characters come to life. This is where we breathe the life into them and they breathe life back into us. That's the magic. And you'll go, after you do a good game or good storytelling or what have you, go, where the heck did that come from? Remember those great big wheels I was talking about, Joseph Campbell? Think of stories as being an encrypted zip file. They get inside your head and then expand. Sometimes you don't know where all that stuff is being stored. Okay? It's like you open up your hard drive and go, where did that come from? Yeah, guess what? It pops up in stories. So, what I would like you to do is we're going to do a little exercise, and I'm going to ask you guys to move around a little bit so that we, get a chance to work with other people. The first thing is everybody here, I would like you to think of a fairy tale. Everybody got a fairy tale in their head? Little Red Riding Hood. Okay. You could just talk the Three Little Pigs, Little Miss Muffet. Or, if you want, you could talk about a character in one of your games. Okay? Or a favorite character from a book. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Okay? So what I want you to do is, I'm going to start with you, young lady. A, B, 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 A, B.
C.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. And that was a B, right? A. All right, and I got you too, right? Cool. So what I want you to do is you guys are going to turn and look at the person next to you who is not the same letter as you. And I want you to just spend a minute describing one of your favorite characters. So if you're an A, find a B. Go. Just 1 minute, talk about one of your favorite characters. Yeah, you Who doesn't have a favorite? Here we go.
So he's one of my favorite characters because he's so wide open. I don't
Talk about your favorite characters. Anything about your character that you like, about this character. Who have you done? Any character. Let's talk about a character. Okay, stop for a second. Now, the world comes to life and we're talking. That's a good thing. Now I want you to pick another character. Okay, everybody take a second to think about a character. Could be Superman, could be anybody, but you're not going to say who it is. Okay? Now, I want the A's to find a different B. to talk to. And what we're going to do is we're going to have that person talk to that other person and describe a character. Tell them about your character. Don't tell them who it is. Okay? So if I were talking to you, well, he's corn-fed and he's from Kansas and he has this cool little cowlick, right? But he's actually an alien from another planet. Everybody got it? Come on. I know you guys have got this, okay? All right, so find somebody you haven't talked to before. A's, find another B that you haven't talked to. All right, and it's just going to be the A's talking at first. So find a different one.
So there's this guy dresses up all the time. And his whole purpose is nobody really knows this person. It seems like all these characters one guy that really makes that he doesn't really spoil his plot, but he's just trying to piss Japanese teenagers. I don't know why. I think it's a real he is a living one guy trying to destroy the other guy trying to stop. Yeah. You know? Oh, really? Okay.
All right, we're going to hold it there for a second. So the A's were talking to the B's, and now the B's are going to talk to the A's. Go. Don't tell them who it is. Okay, hold on a second. All right, go ahead and stop for a second. So, a couple of things I just wanted to tell you. The minute you guys start talking about the characters you liked, all of a sudden I saw smiles. People started smiling. I saw people nodding. A lot of people were nodding. Yes, yes. Tell me about this person. There were grins. Again, people want to tell stories and people want to hear stories. So one of the rules of this class is I'm not going to ask you to critique anybody. I'm going to ask you to keep whatever happens in this classroom here, you know, so you don't go out there saying, you know that part where you're talking about how your mother died? Yeah, that was so awesome. Yeah, don't do that. So what I want you to do is I just want you to keep it here, and we will only offer appreciations. There's another class called Creative Coaching, which I teach, which is helping people work in the creative process. But for this purpose, since we're all kind of doing some exercises, I just want to keep it to appreciations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just really, you were talking to him? Mm-hmm. Okay. And who was the last person to talk? Okay. What did you know about his character?
He had a lot of hate built up in him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how was he telling it to?
How? Like,
Yeah. What did you notice about the way he was telling it to?
He was describing his actions.
Okay. And who was talking here? And what did you notice about the way she was telling you things?
I noticed that she could probably relate to it on some level.
Okay. And what did you feel about the character?
I feel like the character is very much, they spend more time watching the world rather than interacting with it.
Interesting. Okay. I'm just going to, I'll get back to you guys. I'm going to jump around a little bit. Who was talking here? These two. Excellent. Okay. And who was talking last?
I was talking last.
Okay. And what did you think about who she was describing?
He sounded like really protective, but very
And what did you think about the way she was telling it? Okay. How about you two? Who's talking here? Okay. And who was talking last? Okay. What did you think about the way he was telling you? Did you like the character he was describing? And over here, who was talking here? You two? Yo, you two. Let's see. All right. Who was talking last?
He was talking last.
What did you like about his character? Was there anything to like?
Actually, I think he started out with a description, trying to build a mental picture of what it was like.
Excellent. All right. And was there anything evocative about the way he was telling you? What did you notice?
I noticed he was trying to pick words and images that I would relate to, that I would understand. So he was trying to find a common, shared context.
Excellent. Okay. Again, speaking to relevance. What is truthful? So we're going to go around the corner here, and we're going to start going into senses. Okay? And then we'll come back to characters. And so the sense that we're going to describe is the one that I know everybody likes. And that sense is, name one of your favorite foods. Everybody pick a dish that you absolutely love. Milady, did you get a handout?
It is my Kimberly.
Oh, can we? Thank you. Oh. Is that a storyteller? Yeah. Okay. So, everybody pick a dish. Okay? And what I want you to do is tell that person that you're going to talk to about that favorite dish. And just let them have it. Tell them what you love about it. Okay? You know, it could be ramen. I don't care. It could be bachelor steak, aka a can of tuna and Tabasco. Okay? Right? It could be whatever you want, right? But just pick that one dish, and I don't care who made it or what have you. Well, what you're going to do is you're going to tell them about that dish. Okay? So, let's keep the same partners for right now, just make it a little simpler. And we're going to start off with the bees. Bees, let fly. Tell them about your favorite dish. No, tell them what it is. Tell them about it. Tell them everything you want to do.
Oh, no.
No fair pulling it out of your pocket. All right, stop for a second. All right, we're going to reverse this. Okay? So that was the B's. Now the A's, tell them what you love. Tell them about that one dish that just knocks you out of the park.
One dish it's like not 3/4 everything's got to say. Fresh cream, coffee, and then you got the steak. Steak with the medium well. It's got char going on with just not regularly doesn't have to it's like a steak, something got the right steak, right?
All right, we're going to hold it there for a second. Now you guys are all hungry. Sorry about that. Right downstairs. Not bad. So, again, I think you guys noticed that once we started talking about things that we could relate to, there was energy. And that's one of the signs of being a good story, if you connect with it. And so if you have a character who is eating your favorite dish, it's going to be easier for you to get into the head of that character. And so, for instance, when I want to torture a vampire, right, I will, pick up an apple and be talking to that vampire going, oh, this is so delicious. Was it 300 years since you've had an apple? Oh, yeah, blood. I like these. They're a little tartar. They have that crunch to them. Just that, that pop. Yeah, that elevator, yeah, that's heat sensitive. Let me get that for you. Right? You can use all the tools that you grew up with, your senses, to help build your characters. So, to give you an example, we just talked about taste. But how many of the people here who was talking last? Was it A's or B's?
A's.
A's. So B's. Of the people who are talking to you and explaining their favorite food, how many of them described how it looked? Anybody? Cool. All right. Did anybody describe how it sounded? Okay, like the crispy crackling, the frying sound, perhaps, or the crisp crunch of the bread. Those are all tools. How about the feel of it? Eating barbecue, right? Oh, or a watermelon. Ah, right? Smell. How many use smell? Excellent. Okay. We have more senses than 5. We actually have about 8 senses or 9 senses, depending on which scientist you talk to. For instance, we have a sense of space. Well, not a lot of people realize that, but you actually have a spatial sense. There's a sense of mass, like when something massive, like a truck goes by and you didn't see it, but you felt it, right? That's your spatial sense going off. All our senses, a sense of balance, for instance, is a sense. Most people don't realize it. That's one of the senses. We don't have just 5. So you can use all your senses in your story to help build your characters, to help sell the story, to make it investment. Here's the thing about meta language. When you're telling a story and you're describing that apple or whatever food you like, and you're in it here, your meta language flows out and you can see it in the person's face. So, quick show of hands. How many of you really got the feeling that the person telling you was just really in their head about their favorite dish? Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. What was it that she said to you that made you feel like she was there?
It was kind of an anecdotal, about her childhood and about this soup that was salty but sweet, but then someone said a base of rice and but it was nice on a hot day or on a cold day.
Oh, nice. Now you see, and bringing in other elements, the cold day, right? Putting it in perspective in a frame. Oh, I know that feeling, the hot. Oh. Okay, how about somebody else? Who else used some?
It was a personal experience describing a friend caught fish. It's fresh.
Oh, cool.
So it's very personal and it's very real, first person.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I brought in elements of family and just sort of that waking up early in the morning to breakfast and just a lot of the sounds and feeling when you're kind of rushed, but you're trying to turn out something delicious for the people you really care about.
So, in a story, you have different narrative. You have different voices. There's the narrator voice. Once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away. All right. There's the descriptive voice. The path was rugged and hard. there was a bit of dust in the air, and if you look down that path, you could see the tall trees looming and swaying. In the darkness, small beams of light filtered through and created a dapple spot on the forest floor. Descriptive voice. If we go to the voice of the character, right? It could be the voice of the character in their head, or extemporizing. If I were the big bad wolf, I'm so dang hungry, and I'm just... You're kidding me. Really? Basket full of goodies. Red tape so I can find you. Singing. Not making this very hard, are you? Right? I could be extemporizing to myself. I could be the big bad wolf. Hello, Red. So sorry. I just happened to notice you traipsing through the forest here, and I was just kind of wondering, where you going? Sorry. Just going to see my friend the woodsman. Exactly. Okay. So that could be the character's voice. And I'm bringing in a whole bunch of things there. I'm bringing in the gestures. I'm bringing in the snarling. I'm doing the drooling thing. Really, showing the energy that he's just starving. Okay. Another example would be, so we've got the voice of the character, but it doesn't need to be. The wolf could be, so Little Red, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. You're looking good. Right? The wolf, you can play against character too. Hi, Little Red. Yeah, I know I'm scary, big wolf. But I'm really, really a nice wolf. Really? You want to pet me? Right? You can use anything to describe a character, but some of them are going to call out to you. You're going to say, I'm going to be the big bad wolf. Right? And you're going to wander around your house. And by the way, this is one of the great things about being a storyteller. When you're sitting in your car driving, you get to be as insane as you freaking want to be. People drive by me on a car, and I'll be, and they're like, they make some weird noises. All those things you get to do. You're a storyteller. You're allowed. Okay? So, everybody got the idea that we have a narrator voice, a descriptive voice that's kind of giving us our premise, our location. It's an informational thing. We have our character voice, person to person. We have that character extemporizing externally. And then that character can also have an internal voice, which can sound either like a narrator or it can sound like the character. So the internal voice of the big bad wolf could be, if I don't get some food soon, I'm going to die. Or it could be, why are there no ground squirrels? Just one freaking ground squirrel. Damn little bastards, where are they? Okay? It could be any kind of internal voice. But as a storyteller, you're allowed to bring out what is going on in the head of your character, and you should not be afraid. And so when you go out and tell stories, what I want you to do is I want you to practice the 3 types of voices. I want you to practice a descriptive voice, a narrator voice. I want you to practice a character voice, and then I want you to try practicing an internal voice. And just for good measure, try talking to one another as a character. So, you're probably wondering where we're going next. Not too much. We are going to do a little sense thing. I want you guys to pick a piece of fruit. Did everybody here eat fruit? Pretty much? No, not so much? Oh, you do? Okay, cool. All right. I want you to pick a piece of fruit, and you're going to eat that piece of fruit. And as you eat that piece of fruit, you're going to describe how you feel about it. So, like for instance, if I'm eating a banana, It's so hard to get good bananas these days, aren't they? You know, they have potassium and everything. I want you to describe to the person next to you about this piece of fruit you're eating. Okay? It sounds a little weird, but I just want you to give it a shot. So,
You're saying you say banana, you're talking about banana, yeah?
yeah, it can be a banana, pineapple, mango, I don't care.
Could you say that?
You can say banana, yeah. Yeah, you can tell them what it is. Right. Extra bonus points if you do it without them. If you actually show them what you're doing, right, using physical description, that's an extra bonus point. Okay? So, keep the same partners for right now, and then we're going to change up. Bees go first. Eat a piece of fruit and describe what you're eating.
Eat your goddamn fruit.
So, yes.
Okay, so we got two. All right, stop for a second. I'm sorry I'm going so fast, but that we only have 2 hours for this class, so I'm kind of rushing you along. So, I'm going to trickify and goofy do you a little bit. Okay? The person who is eating the piece of fruit is now going to give this now magically restored piece of fruit to the other person. The other person is going to take this piece of fruit and eat it for the first time. Okay? Even if you've never had it before, you're going to take this piece of fruit and you're going to open it, cook it, taste it, smell it, and you're going to tell them what you feel about this piece of fruit. Okay? This is like, I've never had coconut before. Is it normally this runny? Okay? This is a challenge because what we're trying to do is we're trying to be evocative. Evocate, is that a word? Yeah, storytellers' words, we take them back, beat them up, file the serial numbers around. Yeah. Goofy doing, trickifying. She's my editor, my lovely lady cat back there, and she runs into words that do not or only existed 400 years ago. She goes, really? True? Really?
I love Google. I love Google.
So,
hey, this is Irish. We have to italicize it.
Yeah. So, everybody get ready. The givers of fruit, give your fruit. What did you give him?
I have no idea what she gave me. I literally never had it.
That's good. Roll with it. You're a storyteller. You're allowed. It can have wings for all you know.
It might actually. I'm pretty sure that this one. It talked to somebody and has since been killed. I know I'm eating it.
All right. Thank you guys. You're being really good sports. Now we have this lovely team over here. She gave him something and he has no idea what it was. Right? So what did you come up with?
It tastes like leather and sounds like laughter.
Tastes like leather, sounds like laughter. I love your brain, man. That's cool. I see a lot of haiku in your future. So, the cool thing about that is again, you bought into it. First rule of improv is go with the agreement. Somebody says, no, I'm handing it to you. Oh, all right. Right? Whoa, 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 whoa! Turn it off. Hit the throttle. There you go. Thank you. I handed him a chainsaw. Okay. Now, if he took that and said, I did not hand him a vacuum cleaner. Okay. Now it could be multi-mode. You could change it up. Right. To make storytelling work, go for the agreement. Look at the person's faces, and if you want to get their buy-in. And so when you were handing that piece of fruit, that person on the other side was going, I got something from you. Now I'm going to take it. I'm going to make it mine, which is the art of storytelling. That's how we connect with our audiences, using all our languages, all our senses, our meta language to sell it, and the next person takes it and carries that story on for 1,000,000 years. Storytellers can make you famous forever. So, I want you guys to pick your favorite villain. Okay? And I'm just going to go around the room real quick and ask you just real quickly, tell me who your villain is. Okay? Favorite villain. Let's start with you, sir.
Hugh.
Excellent choice. How about you?
I don't know his name, but the guy from Law Abiding Citizen.
Oh, okay. How about you?
Lucifer.
Lucifer. Nice. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Voldemort. You?
I find that like sometimes like the heroes can be their own.
Sure. Just pick somebody.
Okay.
You don't worry about it. You don't have to have a name, but you know who. You have somebody in mind?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, think of somebody, or if you want, we can give you one.
Okay.
Did you see the Harry Potter movies? Okay. Which of the characters in Harry Potter scared you the most?
I think that woman with the pink dress.
Oh my God! Dolores Umbridge. Okay. Congratulations, you got the scariest one. I swear to God. When I think of villains, she's right up there in the top 10. How about you?
I was actually along the same vein as Little and Matilda Trunchbull.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How about you?
The BBC version of Moriarty.
Right?
Yeah. How about you?
So I thought of the T-Rex, but he's not really a...
No, that's fine. That's fine. Although the T-Rex in Meet the Robinsons was... And your T-Rex plan was really well thought out. I love that T-Rex. How about you?
The first one that came to mind because it's something really a long time ago was from Forbidden Planet, the planet with the krill.
Right.
But the professor who brought all that up and the krill to make.
So which one is the villain? The professor or
the professor? Because we're
the professor.
using it.
How about you? Out your head. Well, don't worry about it. You have a character, right?
Yeah.
All right, ma'am. How about you?
So that was scary to me was the Reavers and Firefly.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Now notice that some of us are picking villains that are broad, right? The Reavers. And some of them are very specific. You know exactly who this character is and where they're at. Just a quick couple. Who did you pick?
Lex Luthor.
Nice. You?
Coyote.
Good tricksters.
I just want a firearm, a sniper rifle.
Okay. How about you?
He actually took mine. I was thinking of...
No, you can have the same villain.
That's okay?
Yeah, it's...
Professor Boreal from the BBC.
Yeah, you guys should have tea later.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so your next exercise is think of that character. Everybody got your character in your head? Yours is going to be a challenge. You might want to visualize somebody carrying that rifle.
Well, that's what makes it so scary. You don't know what's carrying.
All right. What you're going to do is be that villain.
Bang.
That's a short story.
And in true improv tradition, you're going to be that villain and brush your teeth. You're going to get up in the morning and brush your teeth. So I really want to see this. So just for a minute, I want you to act out getting up as that villain and brush your teeth. Stand up. Everybody stand up. You don't have to look at anybody. Just, brush your teeth. So how does Dolores Umbridge brush her teeth? All right? Brush your teeth. Keep going.
It's kind of hard, the pantomime being assembled. Okay.
Okay, everybody stop for a second. Okay, you guys, from here over, keep brushing your teeth, sell your characters. You guys, watch them. Okay, stop for a second. You guys, brush your teeth. In character. Watch them. Okay, good. Stop. Sit back down. Just for a second there, you were thinking in their character, what is this character's life? What is their meaning? Brushing your teeth is something we all do, and clean out your rifle bore if you're right. I was in the Marine Corps for a long time. I've done a lot of this. So, I'm just going to ask real quick, anybody over here see something over there that was really cool? Raise your hand if you saw something cool. What did you see?
He's like stared off into the distance.
And you were the T-Rex, right?
No,
you were the T-Rex. Who were you?
From Forbidden Planet.
Oh, yes, the professor. Okay. So you were
Yeah.
deep think. Okay. The answer is 42. So, what did you guys see? Anything really cool over here? Yeah. What did you see?
Violent about it.
Oh.
Really.
We're talking major dental here. I saw this person bouncing around. I expect toothpaste all over the floor. Okay, so when we want to get into our character, we can put ourselves into their role. And so if you want to get into the heads of your characters, ask yourself, how does the big bad wolf brush his teeth in the morning? Right? So if you want to tell a story, figure out how they brush their teeth in the morning. And that'll help you put, a little red riding hood. As opposed to the big bad wolf. I need coffee. Right? So, that leads us to the next little trick. And that is your key gesture. You can have a key sense, a key smell, a key gesture that ties you into that character. And so, for instance, I have a character who's a very powerful little person, real, normal humanoid size. And his key gesture is he's Eastern European. And so he smokes his cigarettes like this. That's why he holds his cigarette. And so my key gesture is, I will tell you something you do not know. The thing you do not know is you don't know anything about that. So when I want to get into that character's head, I start pretend smoking. Don't start smoking fruit. Fruits and vegetables, it's also gluten. So that key gesture, you can find, if you want to tell a story, find the key gestures of your characters. Find the key senses. Find the senses that are in you that make it relevant. So if they're eating food, pick a dish that you like or a dish that you don't like to make that character real in your head. You can have a key phrase. If your main character's, let's say, a murderer in a game, and he's just, pardon the language, just batshit crazy, right? You do that in the hallway, people are going, I want to be in that person's game. I think. Right? You can use it for things. You know, the Big Bad Wolf. You know, he could have a little song that he does. You know, a little rhythm. That's his thing. He's a hip wolf. Right? So, key phrase, key gesture. You can have external emotions and internal emotions. External. So, again, going with our wolf theme for the day. External. Very, you know, here I am. I'm round, I'm coming big. I'm focusing my energy in on you. Okay? On the other hand, you could do internal. So, external. Here's an example of an emotion, external versus internal. If you have a character in a story and you want it to be external anger, God damn it, what the hell were you thinking? Right? Very external. Versus okay? When you want to sell a character, you can use both types. You can use external, internal. Now, in a folktale, you're probably not going to want to have the big bad wolf. Ah! You know, you're going to scare those little kids to death. On the other hand, if you've got a couple of snarky gamers in your corner who are just piping off and ruining your game, you know, you could just casually go over doing your, you know, monologue, you're being your Moriarty character, and you're talking to somebody and saying, well, of course, you found everything I wanted you to find, including this knife. You hold that. You hold that pause. There's power in that pause. And there's going to be that second where that person's going to look down and they're going to visualize that knife. Because it's very real to you. And if it's real to you, it'll be real to them.
I wasn't the snarky gamer.
I saw the lightsaber. You were never in any danger. So, one of the big problems we have, I'm checking my time here. One of the big problems we have is transitioning. Okay? And I'm not talking going male to female or human to salamander. I'm talking about transitioning between characters. Well, that's really a problem, especially if we love the stories. If you're in the head and you want to be Mr. Sniper Rifle, and you're just all about, I'm awesome Sniper Rifle, right? It may be a little hard to be turning into Little Red. Or whatever other character it may be. How do I go from this inanimate object to this physical person? And that's where we can look to our friends in acting to pick up a few tips. Yes. So, drama. There are no drama llamas at this convention whatsoever. One of the things about storytelling is there are a variety of different styles. I've seen storytellers. There's a great storyteller here in Los Angeles, Michael D. McCarty. He's an African-American guy. He's a griot. And when he's on stage, he is nothing but energy. Michael D., he shows up on stage and he's an explosion in the making. He's just all over the place. And you can hear him walk into a building a mile away, right? On the other hand, on the very same stage, I saw a storyteller down in San Diego, Sarah Salter. Quiet person. She told a story about an Appalachian weird mountain lion. She moved her hand once in the entire story. Scared every person in the room. Okay? So I tend more toward the Michael D. school of explosive storytelling. I'm all over the place. I went up to Toronto. And in Toronto, storytellers sit on a chair and move a hand. They look at me and went. And the weird thing was, I wasn't doing myself any favors. The audience comes first. If I'm not making my connection, it should no work. And so what I should have done is I should have, thought a little bit and changed my game a little bit. So internal versus external, transitioning. If I'm going to be the big bad wolf and Little Red, big differences. So my key gesture for the big bad wolf is going to be this. He's forward, he's leaning, he's a little aggressive, he's kind of got that paw out there. Down his head. So there's my key gesture for okay, for Little Red. Okay, so if I want to go from Big Bad Wolf to Little Red, I'm doing a couple things. Hey, Little Red. I'm turning my head looking to that next character. Okay? And I'm not, physically pulling her into my space. I'm over here. And so when I step over here and I'm Little Red, right, there's my gesture. I'm small and I'm looking up. Okay? So that's one way to do it. So, Big Bad Wolf. I think he smokes. Zoot suits are coming back. Right? Little Red. I have a 45 in my desk. Okay? Silver Fonts. I watch Buffy. So, you've got the two characters. You can do it just as simple as this. So, Little Red, what do you got in the best?
Would you like to find out?
Really? I don't need to move back and forth. I can literally go, there's one, there's the other. Predatory, right? But I'm doing a couple of clever things, which you may not notice, is here's my concentrated energy, right? That's presaging something. That's selling something. I have something here. What's going on with her? Why is she afraid or is she containing? Right? Where's she got that basket? Why is she looking up? She's not cowering. She's just compressed. Okay? You can read all that into a couple of gestures. So, move. I am your father. He's just sticking a hand out. But boy, with that voice, you can get away with anything. No! Overacting Academy! Ah! Right? You can have fun with all of this. But your transition can be literally just who you're looking at. And the next thing you can do is, once upon a time, there was a big bad wolf. And Little Red Riding Hood. The big bad wolf was hungry. He was so hungry. And I was on a mission. What I'm doing is I'm giving a beat between my characters. And that is one thing you see a lot in gaming and LARP and that sort of thing where you transition between characters is there's high status, low status, where you're looking, and then finally that pause. One of the things that storytellers who really rock, they know the power of the pause. Because I know some people not. You don't know anything about that. Just have a little pause. Something's coming. What's coming next? So, there's being a story, you know, the chainsaw that I handed him, being the story. There's performing the story. A long time ago, there was a fisherman. I'm just giving you the emotions. I'm pulling you into the story, setting the stage. And then there's telling the story. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman. You can use any of those things to bring your character to life.
How do you read the audience so you know whether you're supposed to sit there and just wave your hand or you can jump up and down in the middle of the floor?
Always get your gig early. Watch what the other people are doing. And if you don't know, just roll with what you know, but make it truthful to you. If it's truthful to you 90% of the time, it will be truthful to other people. How many versions of Cinderella are there?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Too many.
Yeah.
There's an Navajo story called Turkey Girl. And she has a fairy god turkey. True. And when I heard this Navajo storyteller tell it, I think the appropriate term is Dene, but I'm sorry if I'm mangling it. I heard her tell Turkey Girl she added turkey gobbles because she grew up listening to turkeys outside her house. And she nailed that turkey gobble dead. It sounded like there were turkeys in the room. Big ones. But the thing is they came up with that story on their own. Just like Scotland had caparushes. Just like there are a million different versions of Cinderella. Why? Polygenesis. Here's your big term for the day. Polygenesis. The idea was right. It had to happen. And so the story came. The other version is transmigration. A story comes here, it springs up in the Middle East, and then it travels down to Africa, and it gets brought over here into the Appalachian Mountains, and now it's, over here. How many of you carved pumpkins for Halloween? How many of you have heard of them called jack-o'-lanterns? How many of you know who Jack of the Lanterns is? Very cool. How many of you know where the story Jack of the Lanterns came from? Right. What's that?
That's the neighbors.
Neighbors. Ireland.
Ireland.
Jack of the Lanterns, right? Or Hard Jack, which is now a very classic Appalachian folktale. How did that story get there? Did they have pumpkins in Ireland?
No.
No. They carved turnips. Have you ever carved a turnip for Halloween? Put a little candle in it?
Is it possible?
It is possible. It looks like a little lump.
Where's your northern Brit?
You carve a turnip, you shave it, you put a little candle in it, it glows like a little freaking skull and smells horrible. But at some point, some Irish guy was sitting next to a Native American guy, and he said, "What are you doing?" "I'm carving a turnip for Samhain." It's a long story. This is called pumpkin. We Americans call it pumpkin. Guess what? I'm now doing a story with a fruit that isn't from my country in a country that isn't my country, telling a story of something I know absolutely nothing about. Transmigration. So, to answer your question, what if you don't know what their storytelling style is? Guess what? They have hundreds of stories that weren't theirs to begin with. We are surrounded by stories, and now we watch media, and now we have a common parlance. And so when I say Star Wars, everybody goes, "Oh yeah." So I make this sound, everybody in this room especially, yeah, I go, "Lightsaber." Okay? You can use those shorthands in your stories. So you can play against type. I showed that a little bit earlier. You know, the meek big bad wolf, who's just as scary. I mean, Dolores Umbridge, she's not, Dolores Umbridge is not what you would consider, the character from Saw or what would be another really scary, Freddy, Jason. If you had a choice between fighting Freddy or Jason or Dolores Umbridge, which one would you choose?
Freddy or Jason.
Freddy or Jason. Pink Ron's gotta go. All right. So, how many of you would like to try telling some stories? Okay, we have just enough time. I'm going to go over here and open up this box, this magical box. And the one thing I'm going to have to ask, let's see, is this it here? Yes, help yourself to all the candy and apples. This is for you guys. Our storytelling Percival. Here we go. Okay, now I don't have enough of these, so what I'm going to ask you to do is really quickly, because I know you're all fast readers, is I'm going to just hand every other one out. I would like you to just flip through and find a story and read it really quick. They're about a paragraph long. And I do not have enough of these. I'm sorry. So find a story real quick, and I do not have enough of these. I'm so sorry. All right, find a story real quick, and then pass it to the next person, and have them find a story. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to discuss a couple of things, other things about meta-language. Well, I don't want to split them up.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I had more of them here. I'm wrong. So just find a story real quick. Let's talk about audiences and space. When I am storytelling, I want to make good eye contact with all my audience. Now, in some cultures, eye contact can be offensive. But generally speaking, in our world, in this Northern European Caucasian culture, unfortunately, we're now talking fairly aggressive eye contact. Okay? When I want to get my audience focusing on me, and this can be in a game, it can be anywhere. This is a standard tool. I look at somebody who's giving me feedback, where I'm getting content, like I'm looking at her. She's giving me good eye contact. And so I would start talking to I look at her because she's doing two things for me. Number one, she's giving me straight on energy. Okay? And then the other thing she's doing is she's giving me a little bit of a smile, but also she's allowing me to expand, giving me space. So what I do is I start telling the story to her, and then as I'm telling the story, I look around the room and I find somebody else who's giving me good eye contact. And then I start talking to them. And as I start addressing them, I look back, acknowledge, thank you so much for your energy. Hey, guess what? We're a club now. Yeah, did you know we were a club? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, as I was talking to this person over here, you see what I'm doing? I'm pulling my threads together as a storyteller. And that's the way you keep the energy going. And so when the story starts to fade, and you need more energy, you can do two things. One is you can do something dramatic, invade somebody's space. Everybody's focusing on this person now. Your eyes all went to this person because when I brought this energy together, now I'm looking at him, and now they're mentally in his head. They're saying, oh, what's he doing? Right? That's one way to suddenly gather energy. And then as I pull the story out again, I go back, I'm telling the story, and I look back to you, am I right? Am I acknowledging? Everybody's nodding. See, I'm playing that harp, pulling those strings, keeping that energy going. So that's one thing. The other thing is that when I'm storytelling, if I've got my feet fairly wide, a couple of things that I recommend if you're going to do a fairly long story. Has everybody read a story and passed it on to somebody else? Are the handouts going around? All right. Anybody else have one of these? Here we go. Who wants to do a story real quick? Go ahead and just look through that. I'm so sorry I did not bring enough handouts. I will get some more made. I hate killing trees. Who else? How about you? All right. Any other handouts? Still reading them? All right. Cool. How about over here? You guys just flip through it, find a story. So, when I command presence, one of the things I said when I came into this room is I said, yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to be up there. I need you guys here where I can interrelate with you, where I can touch you, or make eye contact, or you can hear me, or we can discuss things, or I can get somebody's attention. Notice what I did there? He was looking away from me. When he looks away from me, that takes energy away from the story, because we're also consciously reading everybody else in the room. And so by coming over here, I'm playing the mean the mean storyteller trick. Because when he looks back up and goes, oh man, I'm busted. Teachers use this to great efficiency. So, I pick a place. I know what my audio is in this room. I know where my range is. I set the conditions for a story to succeed. So, while these guys are still reading and looking at stories, if you've already finished, you can hand it on to somebody else. What I'd like you to do is we're going to do a couple of just physical warm-ups, a couple of voice warm-ups. So if you have something to drink, take a quick sip. Oh, by the way, first rule of vocals, lubricate, lubricate, lubricate. This also works in many other aspects of life. So, here we go. I'd like everybody to just stand up for a second. Okay, we're going to shake out our hips. We're going to roll our knees. We're going to lift up on our toes. There we go. We're going to roll our shoulders. Roll our head back. Why is this important? Because you want to have that energy when you're telling a story. And if you're all tight and everything, it's going to be really hard for you to do. Okay, so does everybody stretch out a little bit? Okay, find your space. Command that ground. And now we're going to just reach down. We're going to pull a little of that energy up from the earth. We're just going to reach down. We're going to take a deep breath. First, take a deep breath. And then let it out. Okay. And so now I want you to reach into the earth, and as you breathe in, you're going to pull that energy up into your body, up into your torso. Here we go. Okay, and then as we let it out, we're going to push this energy throughout our body. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. Reach down into the earth and pull up. And let it out. To be a good storyteller, you have to be in the skin. Okay. So, I'm going to roll. We're going to stretch our faces. Make all sorts of weird faces. Roll your tongue around. Move your face, move your eyebrows. Okay. We're going to roll our arms around. Okay. And then we're going to just do a quick little vocal. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la. Crazy voice. All right, scary voice. Notice that when we said scary voice, pretty much everybody went low. Yeah, but we can do scary voice high too. Okay. Now we're going to puff. Everybody. What I want you to do is I want you to put your fingers right here. Okay. That's your diaphragm. Okay. Take a deep breath and push that sucker out. Take that belly big like Santa Claus. That's right. I put on 15 pounds for this bowl. Okay. Push that stomach out. Come on. Get that belly out there. All right. Get that belly out there. Take a deep breath. You ever look at little kids? the noise out. That natural, that's the way we're supposed to be, not this tight-ass stuff that we have convinced ourselves that all men are supposed to suck in their gut and all women are supposed to be like this. Screw that. Okay? If you want to be an effective performer, you have to be in the skin, you have to be able to utilize all your power. That means breath, vocals. So we're going to whisper. Let's try a little whispering. Okay, now we're going to just do two words. Let's do red, yellow, red, yellow. Red, yellow, red, yellow. That's a little too hard. Let's do something better. Fruit basket, 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 fruit basket. So what I want you to do is you're going to look at other people around the room. We're just going to wander around, and we're going to talk conversationally about fruit baskets. Okay, everybody go. Fruit baskets. Fruit basket. All right, everybody back to the circle. Back to the circle. Back to the circle. Okay, so we've got our energy here. We've got right here, we've got our breath back. So we've got our volume control. We have our range. We have low. We have intensity. Storytelling, really telling a story. All these are your tools to play with when you bring characters to life. So, how many of you had a chance to actually read the handout and pick a story? And I'm so sorry. Okay, good. So, what I want you guys who do you all have an idea of the story? Normally, I would say, go ahead and read it to them first, but we're running short on time. So, I'm going to ask these brave volunteers. Everybody who wants to tell a story, come over here. If you're going to tell a story, come over here. If you don't have a story, go over here. Sorry.
I just get clothesline on the way there.
All part of our storytelling class. So storytelling over here, listening over here. Okay, so go find two people to tell a story to. No, go over there, find two people to tell a story to. Find two people to tell a story to. Find two people to tell a story to.
And begin right away?
Yep, and then just find a corner, pick them someplace and tell them that story. Or find one person. No, take them away from the rest of the herd. All right, we have that herd. You, sir, find one person. You, find one person. How many storytellers do I have left? No. Guess what? You can tell stories to each other. So find a story, find a person, okay, and find a person. Tell the story. Okay, I need a storyteller. All right, come with me. You team over here. You're going to tell them a story. The story from the book.
Sure, you can. They're all dirty. Really good meal.
When you get done, put up your hand. On the street, in the school, where to find All right, you drop the line. Wind it up. Who's done? Who else is done? All right, I need the storyteller over here. Any other storytellers done? You're the storyteller? Go on, stand over there. If you're a storyteller and you're done, come stand over here for a second. All right, everybody who's listening, go ahead and have a seat. Storytellers, you get more chocolate. That's a special treat for being awesome. Help yourself. Yep, and by the way, after you've been out wandering, one of the things I get to do in the SCA, the Society of Trade Anachronisms, I get to wander at Wars from Fire to Fire all night telling traditional stories. When I get to do that, that for me is going to church, because storytelling is my path. And I kid you not, I will walk out there and I look up and I see all the storytellers and bards of old. And there's Coyote, and there's Baba Yaga, and there's Loki, and the Kalevala, and all these great epics. Every one of those stories, every one of those songs, every one of them is given to me. Native Americans have a tradition, and it isn't, here comes Jim, he's a great storyteller. They say, here comes some great stories, and Jim is me. Stories have a life and a power of their own. There's something called the 5 miracles of storytelling. And I'm going to be handing out my cards, and you get my information is in the handouts as well. Unfortunately, I'm going to need the storytelling things back, but I get to tell stories all night. And at the end of that night, I come home and I have this wall of energy around me. It's like I could walk through trees. And then 30 minutes later, energy gone. That's when you eat, folks. That's when you need to eat and drink water and rehydrate. So I am telling you now, if you start storytelling and you start doing it a lot, you are going to be tapping into a major power source. It is one of the most, it has changed nations. Is there anybody here of the Jewish persuasion? Okay. Are you familiar with the bloodline?
I'm not.
Okay. In the Jewish tradition, there was a lot of times when they were in the ghettos and where various communities basically rose up against them. And one of the things they did is they told a story called the bloodline, saying that you needed that the Jews used the blood of a child to make their Passover bread. And so all the Christians would rise up and destroy them. And that was a lie used to destroy people. That's the power of the dark side of storytelling. Adolf Hitler telling people that his people were the chosen people was the dark side. But when you tell a little kid about the little Injun who could, and that little kid saves their mom and dad because they believed in the power of that story. I just listened to the Dresden Files, Jim Butcher, one of my heroes, and he was talking about how he was outside, had to make it to a meeting, his car died, his engine, not his car died, his tire blew, it was cold, wet, miserable, freezing, he couldn't get a lock bolt off his tire. And his character said to him, he said, if I was this character in one of my novels, I would drop an anvil on my head. And so he literally manned up like a character he created and got through it. And that's why he is where he is today. Power of storytelling can change the world. Believe in the power of story. So we have here some lovely storytelling victims and volunteers. And so, who did you tell to, Lauren? Okay. What did you like about his story?
The way he said it,
He was very involved and very
Magical stuff. Was there anything about any particular tool that he used, whether his voice, his eyes, the pacing perhaps? Anything?
Very involved in bringing us into the story, looking at each of us, and using the points to resolve.
Excellent. Good job. Who was your... Okay, what did you like about his story?
He was really into it. He was very direct and forward with everything, and his facial expressions and movements. We were playing the characters.
Oh, great job. How about you?
Twins over there.
Okay. They're twins. Oh, okay. So, question. What did you like about her story?
She knew her punchline. She worked towards the punchline. She played her characters, and she sold the one character well enough to make us appreciate the punchline and not expect it.
Okay, so you had one of those stories that had a twist. So that, by the way, is really, really something you need to practice. That fact that she got it cold. Storytelling powers. Activate. Forma. Oh, Lord. So that's really cool. And the fact that you actually, you're looking at it almost from a writer's perspective is very cool. That's it. What did you, was there anything physically that she did that you liked?
I think there were two characters that she just personified. She got
and she was transitioning between them?
Yeah.
Nicely done. Who's another storyteller? Okay, you were telling? Okay, and what did you like about the way she told?
She used a lot of body language, and she would pace it out quite a bit.
She really set the tone in the beginning when you introduced her about cleverness.
Oh, nice.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny. I feel like there's a little piece of something.
So, was there anything about the character that you liked? What sprang into your mind about the character? Which one? Who she was describing? Oh. Was there a mental picture that you saw?
Well, it's about like a god and a turtle, and so she paced it out. You could feel kind of the slow pacing of everything that goes on.
So, did you mentally have a picture of the turtle?
Yes.
Excellent. And who else was storytelling? And who were your victims? Okay. What did you like about what he was doing?
Well, I felt like he knew the story, and like he had no hesitation. And he also used a very soft voice, and so it kept me.
Nice.
I wanted to hear what was going to happen.
Yeah, that's one of the things about storytelling. If I'm loud all the time, I can actually push you away. Now, using that as a ping pong is master level. You need to work on it, right? By the way, you don't need to be loud to be heard. Now, there was a lovely lady last night. I was in the game, the Starship game. What was it called? The Starship Valkyrie. And when she yelled, I literally wanted to run out of the room. She just, ah! And I'm PTSD going off, right? And I thought, I need to teach her how to be loud without being. You can be very strong in the focus of your voice. Your vocal apparatus is like a laser beam. And so when I am talking to you, I can personally change the energy in my body so you can tell when I am focusing on you specifically with my voice right now. And so, even though I'm addressing you, you guys over here can hear me, can't you? Right? That's because I have energy right here. I'm supporting this. If you want to do high voices, imagine them coming from your forehead. So, I'm doing it up here. I'm imagining it coming from my feet. Okay? You can physically use your body as a resonating board. You can shape and focus sound. So that's all part of the tool. Who's our last storyteller? Did I cover everybody? Oh, here we go. Who told?
We both did.
Oh, sweet. Who did you
Those two people. good people.
Hi. What did you think?
She started out kind of a soft voice in a narrative, something like a narrative form, and so it's kind of like trying to get closer to hear this narrative because this is going to be cool.
Oh, nice. And
I thought she was very committed and she was really trying to be the characters, which was kind of fun.
commitment. Love it. How about you, sir? Who did you tell to? What did you guys think?
Well, I thought he, again, he didn't have to speak loud or whatnot, but he was also started out really close. So
nice.
We were already there instantly with him right off the bat. And also that, like, he knew the story like it was already his own. So I thought that was pretty well done.
And I noticed he was using hand gestures too that showed.
Now, there are some of us who are, how shall I say, imbued with character. You just walk into a room and people notice you. There are other people who you wouldn't notice, and they make perfect assassins. I don't know, there was this guy and then everybody died. As a storyteller, you get to play both of them. It's developing that tool. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and sit down, guys.
Wait, there's just one thing, because they did give me a really good comment about how I ended my story.
Mm-hmm.
I did one about the woodcutter.
Oh, nice.
So at the end, there's sort of like this reveal where, it's not the neighbor who has stolen. But so then I'm like, I thought that he looked really guilty, and then after I realized that I just lost my axe instead of him stealing it, then I looked at him and he's like suddenly not looking guilty. And I wasn't sure how to communicate that in a reveal, and so they gave me like a really good hint about being like, kind of like thinking, he actually didn't really look that guilty in the end. And so I wasn't sure how to do that at first, and so they gave me a really good comment about it.
Way to go, guys. Way to go. Okay, as storytellers, the secret oath is we support other storytellers. The other thing that we do as storytellers is we go out and we collect stories, we bring stories, we share stories, we use our storytelling powers for the forces of good, usually. Bad for that. So, there's an old saying, do not annoy the bard because your name is funny and it scans to green slaves. So, storytellers, quick question. We're talking to who? Us. What did you like about how they were being your audience?
They were very attentive, they were listening, they were watching me. Mm-hmm. It looked like their attention was actually focused on them. It was very easy to keep eye contact with them. They didn't keep looking down, or they didn't feel like it was awkward.
Okay, another storyteller. What did you like about your audience?
You maintained eye contact, and I would gesture like, you kind of go at me, and he would respond, even not vocally, he was engaged.
That's the flip side of storytelling. You can be a good story listener. And if somebody wants feedback, don't go straight into a critique. Okay, please? Give them appreciations first. Always give appreciations first. You want people to come into their stories naturally, organically, holistically, fuzzy terms. But seriously, if you say, where are you going with that villain? And he goes, well, I kind of seem like, with like shark fangs, really? Huh. Have you thought about anything else? Well, I was thinking about maybe help them, give them leading suggestions to find their characters. Let them own the process. Just give them leading questions so that they find the characters, they bring it, because they will take it in places you never imagined. When I go out and teach at the SCA, go around fires, and I'm leading, she hates the term, baby bards around, right? And I bring them up to a fire. I will break the wall and say, what did you like about this person? And I'm telling you, I see these guys who look like they wrestle gorillas for a living. He's been out pounding people like a tent peg for, in armor. He'll go, I really like the fourth modality of the fourth note because she held it to a minor key and gave it a little tremolo. One of the great things about storytelling is something you never know how it's going to affect your audience. That little person in the back who you think is asleep is listening intently. Okay? Sometimes somebody will walk up to you and say, my grandmother used to tell me that story all the time. And you just gave her a huge gift. Okay? So I have, you get to keep the handouts. I'm going to go ahead and wind this up.
I have one just really quick question.
Sure.
When you're limited because you're speaking on the telephone and you're losing so much of the potential nonverbal, you still have a fair amount of nonverbal, but not the same as visual and so forth. How do you balance that, or what's the set-off?
If you don't see them personally, you know what the old storytellers did back in Ireland when they started to go around and collect all these old folk tales? You know, the very first field recording things. The old storytellers, when they didn't have enough of an audience, they would sit and they would face a wall and they would imagine an audience. And so there are stories of these guys who knew thousands of stories, who did it for a living, wandered from fire to fire, and they were telling the story to the wall, visualizing. And so what you want to do is you want to mentally picture who you're telling the story to. You know, get engaged first. Who are you? What are you? What are you doing? You know, get into their mindset and then mentally picture them and then mentally picture you and them sitting there telling the story. That's the best thing that you can do. And the other thing is if you're in sheerly an audio environment, remember you have a lot of tools to play with. So if you need a pause, you can just pick up a piece of paper and crackle it. Or, yeah, hang on a second. You can play with all the audio tools. I mean, imagine, remember the shadow nose, right? And all those old radio dramas? Holy crap, those people could knock you out of the park with some of their spoken word stuff. Just amazing stuff. So, yes, it's a limitation, but it's one that I'm fairly certain you can, pull the gun out. So, a couple of quick things. Make a connection. When you tell a story, maintain the thread, right? We're keeping that connection going. We're pulling that energy around. We're utilizing that energy. When I go in and tell stories for somebody, before I go in, because for me it's a spiritual thing, I stop for a moment and I pray for them. This is just me. And you can meditate or what have you, but just put yourself in their mindset and say, I hope everyone here has a wonderful trip. I hope this is a great storytelling. I hope everyone, if they at least like my story, and hopefully a few people will be inspired. Get yourself into that moment, into that sharing moment, right? Because if it's in you, it will come out. And then finally, the two good key things to storytelling are, everybody, say it with me. First one is relevancy. Say it with me. Relevancy. And what do I mean by relevancy? It needs to be relevant to you, and it needs to be relevant to them. If you're talking about something they don't care about, it doesn't matter. You can make them care about it if it's there underneath somewhere. Well, you got to pull it up, okay? But it's got to matter to you first. If you're not in love with the story, then you have to find out what is relevant to you in the story. And then the second thing is speaking to truth. If you don't feel that this story is genuine, if it's not talking to you, if there's nothing in this character, right, you have to find that truth to that character. And so, for instance, Dolores Umbridge, scary freaking villain, but there was something in her that was powerful. She refused to be denied. She was a small, bitter woman who was going to take it to the ultimate end. And she didn't care where she went. Okay? So even your villains have truth. And so what you as storytellers want to do is you want to find the truth in your pieces, and you want to find out the relevancy. And if you do those two things, and you just work up and understand that everybody wants to hear stories. Everybody learns through stories. It is the oldest art form known to man. You are all storytellers. And it has been my honor to share this class with you. On the back here is my Facebook. Feel free to Facebook me and to check out my website.
Actual story packets.
And my email is there as well. I'm also a science fiction writer. I've written a couple of books if you want to read some good old-fashioned space opera. Amazing I can actually say that, good old-fashioned space opera. And if you have any questions about storytelling, feel free to email me. I'm always glad to help. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed the class. Thank you so much for coming. Tell the story. Take your character, or what you're doing in the story, and tell it.
That's why I brought my.
And what will happen is your story will go and focus, because you'll see all the extraneous stuff just fly out. Tell it to somebody. Tell the story, and when we start to lose them, we know. Tell it. Yeah, and let it move through you. Remember, story has power of its own. And you wouldn't. How is this going? But that's okay. Give it room and then try it again. Do something different.
So we'll start with that. We'll put some chairs around it.
Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys like this story, please tell the staff that we're trying that you like the class, okay?
Thank you.
I would like it
We like the class.
I really enjoyed it. You guys great.
I'm supposed to be there.
So webcam right now. Hello.
I've only seen little. Yeah, I got. So I hope to see you later.